Welcome to Cherryblossom Yoga. I'm Robin Dinerman. This is a half-hour Hatha Yoga class for beginning and continuing students. Please join me. Today we're going to talk and walk, possibly at the same time. I would like to tell you a story that happened maybe 20 or 30 years ago. It was a family reunion of the Dinermans, and we videotaped it, and watching the recording later, and even as we were filming, I noticed that my uncles and my father, and later on, myself, we all walked like this. So the shoulders were sort of forward, the back was straight, but we're all moving forward like this. And even if I was looking ahead, I was walking like this, which actually is a fairly comfortable position for me. But I have since trained myself to stand up. There is an Oriental, possibly Japanese concept called the hara. And the hara refers to your navel, and which is the beginning of life, where the umbilical cord is attached and then removed. So I began walking from my hara, from this area right here, figuring this is where the power is, according to that philosophy. And I taught myself to walk from my hara. So shoulders above hips, hips above knees, knees above ankles, your gaze is straight ahead. Now check the position of your head, because most of us, remember I've talked about all of our emotions, our forward motions, driving a car, cooking in the kitchen, typing at the computer, we're all leaning forward, which helps contribute to dowager's hump, the curving of the spine. So retract the jaw so your head's not coming forward. Walk from this space of energy, this spot of energy, and walk from your hara. So I hope you can see that I'm standing tall. I'm not walking like this anymore. And I showed this to my classes about a year ago. And I had them walk all around the room. And the comments were interesting. One was, well, what if you're walking outside and you're looking ahead and you trip on a sidewalk crack? And I said, well, you can keep your head up, but your eyes can look down. So you're not going to trip, okay? So if you can, practice this. I had a lot of wonderful feedback from almost all my students saying, this changes the whole concept of how I view myself when I'm walking. Here you have gravity pulling down evenly through the joints. You're not putting extra tension on the lower back. And you're not allowing your back to round. So that's all very important to maintain your good posture. Another part of the walking, which I've learned, is that as we get older, our joints get stiffer and the muscles all over, sometimes they atrophy because we're not using them, or we keep some muscles toned, but not others. But I find it's important to go through a whole series of joint movements, which we'll do later on the floor, or which you can do from your couch or chair. But to begin with, while still standing, I like to start classes like so. Feet apart, I like my toes turned out, bringing the knee above the ankle or even the middle of the foot, but no farther, because I want to warm up the knees and the ankles and get my feet used to the movement where I can feel it on the ball of my foot, the whole foot, then more on the heel, I can feel my knees starting to move more fluidly. And another thing you can do is turn the toes under, which I will try to do, and stretch them out. And stretch them the other way. Turn the toes. You can see I'm struggling. There we go. Toes under. I'm on a very soft surface and it's hard for me to balance here. So stretching. But just to let you know, you don't have to be perfect to do yoga, which I certainly am not. And shake the feet out. And the other thing that has come to my attention, partly through a friend of mine, this has to do with balance as well, and I will give you more particulars more on balance in another class. But this has to do, again, with the flexibility of the feet, and as the muscles of the feet, as you get older, maybe they get stiffer. The toes, as well as the fingers, but the toes begin to tighten up and the tendons get shorter, and you lose, some people lose all the flexibility in their toes, and I see that all the time in my classes because I teach baby boomers like myself. So what I'd like you to also try, so we've got walking from the hara instead of going head first. I mean, think about it. When you get out of a car and you turn and you get up and you're heading out, you're all folded over like this. So when you get out of the car, try to stand up straight. Or if you're seated on a chair, stand up straight, then take your step. So a friend of mine recently has fallen for the third time, and she's broken another bone and another pair of glasses. And I said to her, you have to get good shoes. Stop buying these stylish flats and go to a store where they can fit you for the proper shoe for your arch and for the size and width of your foot. I just think that's so important. That's something I learned about 50 years ago. So walking from your hara, are you going heel, ball of the foot to the toes and pushing off? Heel, ball of the toes to the toes and pushing off. So what I'm finding is that when the toes are stiff and the feet are stiff, people are walking like this. And that affects your balance, this flap, flap, flapping. So I'd like you to try to stretch your foot out, or at least get a feel for the heel of your foot, the ball of your foot, and for your toes. So that when you're walking, you're going over the surface of your foot. Now, I have very high arches. I'm not sure what it's like if you have flat feet, but still wearing the right shoes, standing tall, and being aware of using your foot and try to maintain that flexibility in your feet. It's also going to help your balance. And we'll cover that in another class. So I hope those little tips about walking and posture are helpful to you. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with Cherryblossom Yoga in just a moment.
Dad, they took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back to Cherryblossom Yoga. We're on the floor now, or you're in your chair. But what I really want to show you, I have some very good tips for getting up off the floor. And I know a lot of us struggle with that, and I found some interesting sources, which the people who were demonstrating, this was on Pinterest. I found a number of short videos on how to get up off the floor. Of course, all these people were in their 30s or 40s. They're going to get up, no problem. But most of my baby boomer students are not going to get up without some assistance or some kind of struggle, although some are still quite able to do that. But here's what I'd like to show you. So let's say you're on the floor for whatever reason, and you come forward, you want to get up, and here's what I always did that was wrong. I'll move my hand. Was I always put the weight on the ball of my foot and then pushed up like this, which was more or less successful. But here's what I figured out. If you put the weight across your entire foot, and you can put your arm wherever you want, but you're not pressing down solely, no pun intended, with the ball of your foot, but with the heel, ball of the foot, and the toes, you can push up pretty easily and get up. Now, of course, if you squat down and you're in a store and you're looking at the products on the lower shelves, you may not want to put your hands down on the floor, in which case you might need assistance. Or you might figure out another way to get yourself up in the air, like often my daughter will help me if I'm in the store. But we all lose a lot of this strength in the thighs, and it gets tougher to get up. So I'd like to move on to some movements that will help you keep flexibility in the joints, and that's so important in terms of your range of motion. So we're just going to begin with, I'm going to turn sideways, foot flaps, and you can feel as you point forward or as you flex, you're using the knees and the ankles. You're even getting some movement into the toes. I mean, these are all little tiny things to become aware of, and then after a while you won't think about it because it'll become a natural part of your daily life. You'll know that you should flex your feet or make soft fists of your feet and then push out with the toes spread. Now, a lot of people will get some type of cramping when they do this, so do it all very softly. Make sure your feet are warm, stretching the toes apart, bending the knees, flexing, making this weird foot fist, and pointing, and coming up. So that's all good for your feet, for the joints in the toes, the ankles. If you turn the feet in toward each other, I have right foot on top of left. You can turn the legs out. So this is good for in the hips. You can feel this one. Now catch yourself because you might be starting to slump backward like this. So you want the pelvis straight up and down. And sometimes I overcompensate until I find I'm pushing down through the sit bones. I have an idea of where my tailbone is. And I have this triangle that's my anchor, okay? So again, this movement in and out. And then the next exercise I like to do, which I learned a long time ago, I like to fold this leg in. You can leave, this is my right leg, you can leave it out, you can tuck it in, And then you take a hold of the back of the thigh above the knee area, pull your breastbone forward, and then make little circles in the air, rotating your foot. And then go the other direction. And then for the knee, you could also make a circle in the air with your big toe. And go the other direction. And then switch legs. Hands at the back of the thigh, just above the knee, and rotation at the ankle. And go the other way. And then draw a big circle with your toes. You'll find you have a greater range of movement on one side. The other side might be a little stiffer. And then go the other direction. And then bring your leg down. Okay. Now, taking a hold of your leg above the ankle bone, let your foot just be limp. I am not moving my foot. I am shaking my foot. This helps shake off some tension, loosens the foot up, feels really good. And then we'll switch to the other side and shake this foot. I can't quite get it going. There we go. So I need to let go a bit and let that foot just shake. All right. So this is a fun little movement to do. Legs straight or tucked in. You bring your foot in. You have a paintbrush between the first two toes. And you're going to dip the paintbrush into the paint, bring it up, and then paint the wall in front of you. Recharge the brush and bring it up. And flex. I'm going to adjust my posture. And release. Same thing on this side. You've got the paintbrush between your first two toes. Dip it into the paint can and bring it up. Flex and then paint the wall in front of you. And then one of my favorites that you should do, I think, every day, Baddha Konasana, seated angle pose, opening up the hips. All right. And then taking one foot, you can take a hold of the little toe, pull it, rotate it a bit. Same thing, moving up. Pulling and rotating. Stretch the toes away. All good. You can take your thumbs and rotate down the center of the sole of your foot, even into the back of the heel where there's some soft flesh there, not bone. Same thing here. So I'm pulling and rotating. and massaging with my thumbs into the arch of my foot and behind the heel. Of course, if you take some time doing this, the benefits will be a little bit greater. But I'm trying to get this information to you in a short period of time. Legs out into a wide V, lift up, turning your rib cage. This is another one I think is so important to do every day. Toes up to the ceiling and settling in as you exhale. The thigh mostly in line with your underarm. And if you can, place the hand here and turn and look up to the ceiling, to the sky if you're outside. And let the arm come up slowly, lead with that shoulder. Turn at the waist, come over the other leg. Sweep over. And lift the arm up. Come forward, arms parallel to each other, walking one hand after the other. Feeling a stretch in the lower back muscles and into the inner thighs and the groin. Release the stretch from the shoulders. The shoulders come back into place. And just stretch the arms. Come into a comfortable position, seated. Whatever works for you. Let us pause for a moment. Scan your body. And look for areas of tension, or maybe you feel warm and feel the energy circulating through your body. And let's prepare for the relaxation. You can stay seated if you wish. Come down onto the floor or your mat. In Shavasana, the corpse posture, palms up, slightly away from your body, or if you like, one hand on the navel and the other hand on top. When you do this, you can feel the expansion of the belly as you breathe. So breathe in and pull the air down your throat into the lungs. Imagine it travels and fills your belly. Exhaling, pull your navel down to your spine. Let all the air out. And as you exhale, let go of the tension, any negative thoughts such as disappointment, or guilt, or feeling not quite adequate. So inhale and fill yourself with positive energy, good thoughts, lightness, freedom. And exhale. Allow yourself to sink, feeling freer, more comfortable. Your body's more comfortable, your mind is quiet, your emotions are soothed. Listening to the sound of your breath, following it into your body and out. Bring your attention back to your body. And if you wish, take a deep breath. Bring your arms over your head, allowing your back to arch, and then stretching from your fingertips to your toes. And release, and bring your feet to the mat. Push off, rolling onto your side. And you can rest your head on your arm, wrap your arm around your head. Using your top hand and letting your head hang down, walk your hands back to your body, returning to a seated position. I hope you're feeling wonderful. I hope you learned some good tips today that are helpful to you. I wish you a good week and a good life. Namaste.